nyoka. That is why the government which was there before, we reached 2024 February. Eurobond is coming up for payment of 260 billion in June. And there was no plan put in place because the government that was there knew they were leaving anyway, so they didn't care. Fortunately for this government, and I say God loves this government. Hata kama unasema WANTAM, hiyo ni yako, hiyo ni ya shetani. Mungu anapenda hii serikali, we will have TUTAM. And I will tell you why. Something that no one ever expected. The market opened and this government went to the market, got another Eurobond and refinanced the other Eurobond. It was luck. I will tell you, it was not any economic magic. It was luck for the country of Kenya. But that luck, we didn't want it to extend further. That is why last year, in February, March, because we were aware that another Eurobond is coming up for payment in 2027 May, just a few months to election, another huge one, we decided to deal with it earlier. And we managed it. That risk was taken out. In September, again we dealt with 2028. We didn't want to behave like the other government, which decided to leave the rest, watajisort after uchaguzi. We could have also thought the same and say 2028, hiyo ni mbali, sitakuwa after uchaguzi. No. This government has taken a proactive approach and has managed the liability of 2028. So the only risk now we have is 2031. 2031, we have moved from the possible default to 2031. That we will still deal with. So, ladies and gentlemen, msisema hii serikali hakuna kazi inafanya. It is because maybe we are not sharing with you the challenges we are going through. And those challenges must be dealt with. And God has put me in this position as one of the key persons to deal with this. I must help. I must work for the people of Kenya. So I was explaining that now we have an economy that is growing at 5%. Let me tell you, with the number of population, with the population growth we have in Kenya, and the number of Kenyans coming out of colleges and universities, who are well trained, educated, who have basically taken all our wealth. Those of us who have ng'ombe, you have exchanged your ng'ombe with a certificate. Sindio? If that certificate becomes useless, then you go into abject poverty. That certificate needs to translate into something. If it is now your wealth, these people should be employed. They need jobs. Kenya will not create enough jobs for our youth if we don't grow at 7% or 7.5% the economy. But for us to grow the economy, we cannot stay with the infrastructure we have today. We cannot be complacent with the infrastructure we have today. You are all complaining about roads. We must access the markets. If you have a motorbike, you want to get your wares or whatever it is, mboga, you rush to the market and in the next 30 minutes you are there. You don't want to take 6 hours where you should take 5 minutes, 30 minutes. So roads. Irrigation. This country cannot feed itself by relying on the generosity of God all the time. Rain. We must irrigate. Our airport, you saw the president speak about it yesterday. It's a shame. It is terrible. For an economy which is the largest in the region. We are number 1 in East and Central Africa. We are number 6 in Africa. Only defeated by South Africa in the south, Nigeria in the west, and Egypt, Algeria, and Morocco in the north. Then you have such an airport. And yet Ethiopia has better airports. And that now Rwanda, a tiny country like this, has a better airport. We are losing our advantage as the regional logistic hub of this region. Just because of some politics. I'm trying to be very polite, you know. Sometimes I don't want to call it idiocy. But again, that is what it is. So, how do we do these things? I know, can we tax you to do airport? Do you want to pay more taxes? If you want to pay more taxes, put up your hand. So if you don't want to pay more taxes, and I also agree with you, I don't want to pay more taxes. And imagine, I don't want to pay more taxes. What about you? Number two, do you want us to continue borrowing more and more to do these things? So if those two, if you have closed those two, where do we get money to do the airports? We can go PPP, but PPP has risks. You know, every public infrastructure has risk. If we have to do roads and toll them, there is risk. If we have to do airport, there is risk. If we have to do water and irrigate, there is risk. So to reduce that risk, government should put in some money, and then we invite the private sector. If the cost of doing airport is 200 billion, and the government puts 50 billion, we can now reach out to institutional investors and tell them we have already put our 50 billion, and this project is profitable, we do the design and we convince them. Then now they bring in 150 billion and we do the airport. And by the way, the airport will pay for itself. That is what we need to do. And that is why we are creating this fund, the National Infrastructure Fund, so that we have a seed capital. This seed money, we will only put it in commercially viable projects. Partner with you, then we free the budgets where we were putting all the roads, all the irrigation, all energy, we free the budget. And the money that we free will now go to education, will go to health, will go to social interventions. That is how to work or grow the economy. I know I have a lot to say, but let me now progress to conclude. Irrigation, again, I want to give you one example of irrigation and energy, then I end. Irrigation, this country is food deficient, especially maize production, by about, and I'm happy I'm in Western and Nyanza, without ugali, no food. Ama namna gani, mume change. So, the maize that we consume, we need between 10 million bags and 15 million bags to be food sufficient. Galana Kulalu, we have done an experiment. We have just harvested on 1,500 acres. What we need in Galana Kulalu is a dam of 40 billion maximum. It's between 30-40 billion. If we do that dam, we are going to irrigate 200,000 acres. And this is what 1 acre has produced in Galana Kulalu. 30 to 35 bags. Take the lowest, 30 bags. And you can now plant twice because you are irrigating. So in a year, 60 bags. Times 200,000 acres, 12 million bags. You have already sorted out the food situation in the country. And this is achievable. Why don't we do it? Lastly, lastly is the energy. Nyinyi kila saa power blackout. Ama hapa Kakamega power is reliable. You curse Wandai every day. Wandai anafanya kazi gani? Where, you know, Kenya, we generate only 3,000 megawatts. But we need no less than 10,000 megawatts. We need to generate more power. And power can pay itself. You are paying power. Unaanza, you are in your workshop, you have a tender of 100,000, you are competing with the time to complete your tender, then stima imeenda. It's affecting business. We want to generate more power in this country, at least 10,000 megawatts, to be able to sustain a progressive and industrial country. We will talk about manufacturing industrial forever. We will not succeed. Even these pipes that the governor talked about will never take off without reliable energy. So that is what we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. And that is why I want to persuade you. We have formed a company already to manage this fund. We want it to manage